My hair is still drying. Oh gosh. Hello rainbows, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we are doing another first impressions of a brand new palette which has just come out. Whoa! So this is a new baby by Lime Crime. This is their Venus Xl2 palette. I do own their original Venus. I have done a similar video to this one on the original palette. So as soon as I saw these colors on their Instagram, I was like sold, buying it. You guys know I love green. Like anything that's got a beautiful green color, not like fluoro green, but like khaki, mossy, earthy green. Oh, I'm just sold. So anyway, I knew I was gonna buy this baby straight away. Like all of my first impression tutorial kind of videos, I'm going to go over the packaging first. We'll get into the tutorial and then we will do swatches, brush swatches, and my final thoughts at the end of the video. So, God, sorry for my wet hair. It's just trying to minimize the heat damage that I do on my hair. So I bought this directly from the Lime Crime website. It retailed for $82.89. Packaging wise, it is exactly the same width and thickness as the original. It has the same mirror and the same amount of shades inside the palette. So as you guys can see, from the original Venus XL to the Venus XL2, drastically different in shades. I can maybe swatch some shades that are similar because there are, I guess, similar brownie type of shades. I'll swatch some of those at the very end for you guys too. Little blurb from Lime Crime describing the palette. Wow, it's already had over 500 reviews on their Facebook. It says the ultimate earthy grunge shadow palette. Blossom and bloom with this Venus XL2, the earthy rebirth of the ultimate grunge eyeshadow palette. Boldly unearth 18 new shades in 4 rich buttery smooth formulas. So there's matte, metallic, foil, and sheer iridescent. Sheer iridescent. 4, not 5. Reign supreme with flowing neon green hair, a gold laurel crown, and a decadent septum ring. I don't really care. They're describing Venus on the packaging. Cool. Get into the shadows. It says the matte is buttery smooth, totally matte. The foil is high definition and ultra reflective. The metallic is ultra shiny shimmer. And the sheer iridescent is a sheer opalescent lid topper. I hate sheer shades. I'd rather a shade be full on pigmented that you can sheer down with a light hand as opposed to being just watery and washed out. You know what I mean? Like that's why I think like things like, you know, the Diamond Dew or the toppers are for, but hey, hopefully I'll be able to tell which ones are which. I'm sure I will. It says it's not going to repeat shades or give you boring pasty pastels. Packaging wise, it did come very, very well packaged. This was like, it was wrapped in multiple layers of bubble wrap to really protect the palette. This itself came in a little plastic sleeve as well, so like they sent it really, really well. On the back, it's got description of all of the shadows, all the different formulas, vegan, cruelty-free. It's got a 12-month shelf life. So there's 18 shadows. They weigh 0.05 ounces or 1.46 grams, which give you a total of 0.9 ounces or 26.28 grams. It is very, very beautiful. It's going to be interesting to see, like there does seem to be a lot of shimmery ones and I'm not sure which ones are going to be the sheer ones and which ones are not until I really get into the tutorial. Okay, so like all of my tutorials, I'm going to start off just with some concealer under my brows and on my lids just to prep eyes, and then we'll get right in. I don't have any idea of what I'm going to do. I'm just going to like wing it, have a play, and we can experience it together. Hazel just had some boob. She's going through a really clingy stage. I think most of my base concealer is probably dried and hardened on my lids now, so oh well, that's all right. We're just gonna wing it. All right, what colors? Oh, I have to use the Phoenix shade. I'm not gonna go for too much green kind of stuff with this look because in my last video like this using the Jeffree Star Alien palette, it was all green. Beautiful, but yeah, a lot of green. So I'm just gonna smooth out that creasing on my lid. Wow, this has like been on for a really long time. Zoom you guys in. I'm trying my best to do this with Hazel on my lap, so fingers crossed it's okay. There's a weird hair. You know when you can feel a hair but you can't see it and it's like, huh, it's there. All right, so, God, sorry guys. I'm gonna go in with the shade in Bloom. Does seem like it's picked up a fair bit on the brush. This is just a kind of softer brush for blending out, but I just want to create a wash of this color. This is gonna be my transition shade. Really? So first impressions so far, like the colors are great. I am having to dip back in a fair few times. Perhaps it's because the primer has just really like dried fully down. And I know this brush isn't a packing brush, so of course it is going to give a more sheer result. But I feel like I'm having to dip back in a fair few times, but that is okay. There's no real light matte shades for above your crease. There's no super matte white or super nude color. Like this is like the lightest transition-y kind of shade that you can use that's matte. I'm just gonna continue to blend this and then we'll just have to like touch it up with a shimmery highlight on the brow bone. Because normally I only like a brow bone highlight to be right underneath my brow bone. So I normally do like to have that kind of light matte shade in between this blend out crease and the brow bone. I know that sounds super picky, but hey, I am just being honest because that is the best policy. I'm going to go in with the shade Ripe, which does look like a super warm color. This does seem like quite a soft shade. Like I've just dipped the brush in here and there is a fair bit of kind of fallout of the product. You guys know I don't like to tap off my brush. I am tempted to tap this off though. I'm not going to because I never do it and I use that as a good guide as to fallout. Like I don't see anything wrong with not tapping off your brush. Like doesn't mean that you're a bad makeup artist because you don't tap off the excess. I just am not a fan of wasting the product. So basically with the shade, I am doing it really right into that crease. But yeah, I'm definitely getting a lot of kind of looseness from this shadow and it's kind of dripping down into this lighter shadow just from me just literally going in and tapping the brush, like slightly tapping, but yeah, it is quite a soft shade, so bear that in mind. But so far I'm not having any issues with fallout, so that's good. Next shade I'm going to go in with is Classical. This does seem again like a super rich, dark, deep shade. May even have a tiny bit of a plummy undertone to it. Again, this seems very, very soft. Tapping the brush in is causing some kind of fallout in the palette. And I'm mainly focusing this one right in this outer portion and also going to focus it in the inner portion. I'm finding that this palette is actually a lot softer than the previous Venus XL palette. I found some of the shades in the original XL palette to be quite stiff, kind of harder to blend. They kind of gripped in certain areas. So I don't know if they've gone in and reformulated, done a slightly new formula. I prefer ones that are softer, like even if they do have that little bit of fallout. Going back in with some Ripe. Gonna blend that out into the crease with the Classical. Yeah, so I mean, I don't mind. I'd prefer to have a little bit of a softer shadow because I just feel like it gives you better pigmentation. It makes it easier to blend out. So I'm just gonna go in with a little bit of a light concealer just in that center of the lid. You just want to be held, don't you? It's all right, we can cuddle, hey? So I'm gonna go in with Forbidden. Use it dry and then we can always go in with it wet as well. This is a beautiful color. Okay, how's this side gonna work? How's this side gonna work, Poppet? Wow, this color is so pretty. You smell like orange. I so picked the wrong day to film. That is okay. That's mum life for you. All right, I'm now gonna go in the shade Phoenix. Okay, I've set up Hazel with Peppa Pig. Volume turned down really, really low, so hopefully you guys can't really hear it too much. Oh God, all right. I'm gonna go back in with Phoenix and do this in pretty much the rest of the gaps. I could have broken this up and done a third color, but I want to try one of those toppers. So far, like, these colors are beautiful, but they are very similar. You can see that there's a slightly lighter shade in the center, but they do kind of blend a lot together. It's a good thing, I guess, if you know, are starting out with makeup. This will definitely make blending a lot easier for you. Obviously, it's the shades I picked, and you could pick more contrasting shades, but these ones are extremely similar. Like, it's almost looking like it's just the one shade. Okay, so this is how it's looking so far. It's a little bit messy. Don't worry, we'll fix that up later. So I'm gonna go in with Crown just with my finger. I'm going to top this in the center. So it is very light, and it's definitely making that whole center area pop that a lot more. I don't even know if this particular shade is a topper, but hey, I do want to try, this isn't one of the shadows, but this is, well, technically I think it is a shadow. I haven't used any of their Diamond Dews before, and I bought this at the same time. This is in the shade Confetti, but it's meant to be like a liquid eyeshadow glitter thing. Try to dab this on in the center and we'll see. Oh wow, it's like liquid glitter, and it takes off your eyeshadow at the same time. It feels very wet. Kind of smells really bad. Oh God. Okay. Well, I tried it. All right, so I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup, and then we'll be back to finish off the lower lashes, all that jazz, and go from there. All right, I'm gonna go definitely in with Forbidden. Honestly, that shade is just so pretty. Then I'm gonna go in with a bit of West. God, West looks just like Phoenix. Or is it just me? Can't wait to swatch these. It does, but maybe a tiny bit more brown. Do Phoenix, swap the brush over a bit in this inner portion. Oh yeah, it's definitely more brown. I'm gonna go in with a bit of Ripe. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of that Diamond Dew stuff first. It does smell really bad, I'm not gonna lie, but it is growing on me a little bit. But it's kind of like, you know, like those glitter nail polishes, and the glitter is just submersed in gel, and you have to do multiple coats for it to even look kind of glittery. I think this is similar. Like, there's not glitter in every swipe, there's only glitter in certain bits, so you have to kind of find where those bits are. So pretty. So I just used some of this lip gloss. This is a new one by Fearless. Beautiful. I think I'm gonna lay this down as a little bit of a base before I do my highlighter, just for an extra tacky finish. Why not try Radiant for the highlighter? Has a very pretty kind of peach undertone to it. Definitely more on the natural side. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of Crown. Radiant is gonna go under the brow bone and in this inner corner. It's definitely a lot golder than you'd think it would be. Peppa, you, oh God. Hazel just grabbed her little fruit that she was eating and smeared it all over the couch. I'm gonna deal with that later. It's like everywhere. I will deal with that later. Here you have the finished look. I think it looks quite nice. I don't think it's anything that's drastically unique. I mean, obviously it comes down to the shadows that you choose, but I've definitely done looks similar to this in the past. And this was mainly using like those warmer tones from the palette. It is good to see that there is like the pink versions and then there's the green. So it's kind of like 3 color stories in here. So let's just get into swatching, and then I'll give you guys my final thoughts at the end. As always, hello. So we're gonna do the top row along and we will go from there. In Bloom, Crown, Sage, Thorn, Thorn. Wow, that was unexpected. This looks super grey, but here it's like this gold pink shift, like really, really unexpected. Ripe, Forbidden, Stella, that's unexpected as well. Myth, Eve, Laurel. Definitely what I'm getting is a lot of hidden gold, like even Stella, this beautiful is like a champagne rose gold kind of color. That is just stunning. It's very, very soft. You guys can see like that little indentation that my fingerprint left. Radiant, Ivy, West, Obscure, oh no, Mystic, Phoenix. Wow, so Phoenix and Forbidden, like I thought, very, very similar. Locust, which is a kind of green-brown shift, and Classical. So there are very, very similar shades. The two that I used on my lid, Forbidden, Phoenix, they are very, very similar. Forbidden, Phoenix. Let's go. Forbidden, Phoenix. Yeah, very similar. Not too much difference between those shades. All right, let's do some brush swatches. I do just have more of a dense brush. We're gonna go in with Sage, a matte. Very, very soft. Like you could probably blend this away into nothing. And yes, like it does definitely leave marks. Let's try Laurel. And let's try Obscure. Again, these are super, super soft, guys. So here you have the swatches. All right, guys, my final thoughts on the palette. I like it. I'm not gonna say I love it. I feel like it is lacking in some areas in shade wise. I really wish that they didn't put these kind of sheer shades in as toppers. Looking at the swatches as a whole kind of picture, which you guys probably can't see. No, not much really stands out. You've got dark, 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 wishy-washy sheerness, and a few kind of brighter golds. It says it's not going to repeat shades or give you boring pasty pastels.
Boring pasty pastels.
This palette would have been so much more complete if it had a really beautiful, intense, deep green, like a dark foresty kind of green. The darkest one it's got is Sage, and that is like almost a gray kind of tone, and it does just blend away into nothing. Like there's no real kind of substance to it. I feel like they definitely could have taken out some of these kind of metallic-y shades. Like there's so many of them and they're all really, really quite similar. They all kind of look the same, and you don't need that many similar shades in one palette. Like, let's go Ivy, Myth, Obscure. Can you guys see that? That is 3 separate shades from the same palette. You don't need that. You could have just done one shade. You don't need that much. Same with Crown and Stella. Like similar, different finishes, but kind of similar, same color. And then, God, Forbidden, Phoenix, West. Very similar again. West, darker. These two almost identical. So you guys kind of get the point that I'm trying to make. Like, beautiful palette. It reminds me similar to the Norvina in a way, almost like the Naked Cherry. Like you're kind of going to end up with similar looks no matter what combinations you do. Yes, there's definitely a lot more variation in this palette, but because so many of the shades are so similar, you don't get that much difference. Like I would have absolutely loved to see a deep, rich, intense green. I would have loved to see more of a intense, like winey kind of purpley hue instead of like one of these colors. I do love the classical shade, like, but I think there needs to be another deep shade with a bit of difference in there. There's just too many like meh shades. It is definitely a beautiful palette. I definitely feel like they have reformulated it from the original. I'm not sure if they have, but going by texture and feel, like it feels very, very different. Definitely a lot softer. You do get a lot of kind of pitting and denting in the shadows. Even just patting a brush on, you get a lot of movement from this palette. Not necessarily a bad thing. It does make it a lot easier to blend and use the product, but for some people they may not like that. All in all, nice palette. I probably won't reach for it all that often. I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit disappointed. It does seem a little bit wishy-washy and just a bit lackluster. I really wish they didn't do these sheer kind of topping colors. Like, I would have just preferred something that packed a punch that you could sheer out if you wanted to. You know what I mean? I just feel that these sheer colors, you can only use them as toppers. You can't use them for anything else because they're gonna blend away into nothing and not give you any pigmentation. So that kind of bummed me out a lot. There's just, yeah, too many light pale shades. Like they said that it was going to be a grungy kind of palette, boring pasty pastels, but I don't really get that vibe. I do like the look I created. I do think it is nice, but in saying that, you can create this same look with other different palettes. I think this is very similar to the one I did in my Tartelette Toasted tutorial. So very, very similar, I think, from memory. It was a while ago. I do want to quickly compare these two just to see if there are any matching kind of shades. They said that they're completely new shades. Like this one, I feel was a more well-rounded palette. You had pops of bright color, you had deep tones. There was definitely a lot more mattes in this palette compared to this one. I just feel this one was more well-rounded. Like, yeah, this, I don't know. There's only like two kind of transition shades. Anyway, this is definitely more purple based, so I'm not saying you're gonna get an exact kind of match, but let's try Classical and Aphrodite. Definitely this one is a lot drier. It's a lot stiffer, and yeah, so Aphrodite definitely more red. Classical. Let's just throw Burnt Gold in there just to see. Burnt Gold. So these two, Venus 1, this one Venus 2. Now let's try Idolized and Ripe. So Idolized and Ripe. I'm gonna go for Scallop and In Bloom. Scallop, In Bloom. Ethereal and Eve. Wow. Okay, so Ethereal and Eve. Definitely not identical palettes, but if you could only afford one, if you love both, definitely I personally would go for this top one. It's just more well-rounded. You're going to be able to create more looks with it. Yeah, the formula is a bit different in my personal opinion, but this one, like, you're going to be limited. If you do like more shimmery kind of colors, metallic-y shades, this is a beautiful palette. But if you're like me and you absolutely love greens and you love doing like a smoky kind of green color, I probably wouldn't opt for this palette because the greens are not as intense as what you'd like them to be. They're kind of wishy-washy. They're not dark enough. It's just a bit meh, in my personal opinion. All right, rainbows. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys thought of it, if you enjoyed it or not, if you agree with me or not. If you don't, it's completely fine. Or is it? Leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification as well. I love you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.